Greetings and welcome to this bonus episode. I'm opening up the season with a bonus episode. That's right. It's wacky. It's a little quirky. It's just kind of weird, but I've decided it's better to open up with a bonus episode than with a guest. It's better to do both than literally not even opening up this season at all, but here we are. Hi, I'm Mickey GemInEye. This is you're tuned into the Vault of Doom podcast right now, and I'm just gonna get right to it. As the bonus episode is technically episode 101, I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't know what the next episode should be, but the last time I checked, 101 is like learning something. So on this show, if you've subscribed or follow me on Spotify or YouTube or any of my socials, then you know that there's some educational stuff in here. There's literary texts. There's just stuff that I'm learning on my device even. But unfortunately, there can only be one, and this is in fact a music show. So when I'm not talking about music, I'm doing a little bit about these things that you can learn, I guess. And the episode is titled as such: Doing Things Off Recording When You're a Content Creator. I've got to say, when I thought of writing down this idea, the thoughts went swirling around in my head. What is this that makes me write this down, that makes me want to do an episode on it? I think it's probably due to the fact that I'm American. I'm living in America right now, and we have a little bit of a mentality that is, we work way too much. There's no structured way of stopping it. It's pretty much inexorable that a lot of people will work a lot in this place. I'm saying that as an American citizen. I'm saying that as a tax-paying American citizen. And the reason that I'm paying taxes is because I'm making purchases. If I'm paying taxes from working a job, then that complexifies things a little bit. So normally when I do digress, I'll do the opposite right now of digressing, and I'll get right back on topic. What I'm getting at, what the point is of recording, doing things off recording as a content creator, is that the topic is basically keeping in mind content creators. But other than keeping content creators in mind, it's important also to keep in mind future content creators. Obviously, way in the back of my mind, I'm not consciously thinking about future content creators. Like, maybe some of the more successful ones are. And if they are, they're most likely not talking about it much. Aside from maybe it would make sense to push a product of some sort. Other than that, I'm as usual here on my show. Basically just entertaining ideas that I'm thinking about. But how can I define that? How can I categorize that is what I'm kind of trying to do right now. It's educational. It's educational for content creators. That's why I said content creators would benefit from hearing this. As it starts to arrive and as they start to appear, those that would like to brainstorm with others again. I mean, maybe I'm speaking this into existence. Maybe I'm not, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be a lot of people that get tired of doing nothing but AI and are going to want to actually brainstorm with real people or listen to podcasts just for the sake of getting an idea from it for their podcast. Henceforth, why one of the first things I was mentioning and talking about was that the educational episodes that involve me interacting with my technology and interacting with my device is leading me to this point right here. My point right here. It's pretty inevitable that a lot of people are going to get tired, start getting tired already of using AI, and they'll look for people instead. Other than that, I'll reintroduce myself again. I'm Mickey GemInEye, and this is your noodling about with what does it connotate to do some stuff off recording when you're making content. Like, it's essentially I'll play the devil's advocate for a second here and just say, essentially it means nothing. It means nothing to most people that they would express themselves off recording, but not as a content creator though. If you do create content, if you have a regular online presence, then expressing yourself on the fly can present an issue. I'm going to start there, and I'm going to lead up to the climax, where lots of people that I meet on the street a lot have no issues discussing matters that people might be interested in hearing on their phone, on their tablet, on their computers, what have you. And that's just because they don't have a regular online presence. I'm not going to get into too much of the complex stuff, so let me get back on topic. Let me stay on topic. If you are, in fact, a content, those are the non-content creators doing that. If you are, though, a content creator, and you have those conversations without capitalizing on it per se, you need the mentality that I have. And that mentality that I would consider myself identifying with is quite simply put, it is that sort of exercising mentality. It's the attitude of, well, and I'm going to speak from experience. I'm going to lead into speaking. Let me start segueing right now here into speaking from experience. First of all, the experience that I like to speak on here is how long I've been doing this. That's 16 years. Second of all, the experience that I'm referring to also in this specific instance is that you can do that you can do your exercising and then not do your exercising. That's the contrast I'm going to start providing here. And the event that every last one of the episodes that you want to put out is the only time that you really speak on things. And then other than that, you're just out in the world shopping, out in the world kind of bar hopping, whatever, social life, all that stuff. There's no reason you shouldn't believe most content creators when they discuss their social life, where when they say things like, I'm antisocial, or I'm this and that and this and that. You might be like me, where you can tend to be maybe not paranoid but apprehensive a little bit, and say, is he full of is he full of it? Is he full of beans? Or is he serious? I think that most of the time they don't have a reason to lie about that kind of stuff. At least not yet. I mean, when things hit the fan and people start straying more from AI to trying to hear podcasts like this and brainstorming and noodling and getting ideas from it, it will end up making more content creators start having to lie about little trivial things like their social life. But I digress for the first time. So let me get to decide here for a second if I want to do music break or not. But it looks like I don't want to do a music break. So I'm going to get back to just being like, hooray, my first time digressing on this episode. So now with the contrast being where I was, that's an option. You can do that. You can have every idea you want to be put in an episode and then go live your social life or live your regular normal life and then go back home and continue putting all your stuff on there. It should be mentioned that there's plenty of stuff that I would consider content worthy or not. I mean, who's to say? Who's to really judge, honestly, in that realm? But it's sort of a know who you are thing that when I do have conversations off recording, when I'm not making content, I'd still consider it exercise. No, you can talk to a psychologist with a PhD or something, and they'll have some label for you and some way of branding it, labeling it, and all that stuff. An example: if I go to sleep, I wake up, and then I go and start my day. I'm doing some exercise, I'm doing breakfast, I'm doing my carb counting or whatever it is that I do for my particular diet at the time. Then I'm tending to projects. Then, I get to the end of the day, and then I get to relaxing, and I'm sitting there and I'm flipping through whatever, and I find something that I would want to do an episode on. Like, one that I read, here's the example that I read recently, that psychologists soon will be obsolete because of AI. That resonated with me as a news article. It doesn't necessarily do much more than that yet. Hence the reason why this stuff is probably considered what some may call innocuous. Is it the news that's innocuous, or is it the actual thing? That's the perplexing thing that makes it innocuous. If you follow me there, it's just an example, I'm just throwing it out there. But however, the psychologist being the point that was, I would say it'd be a pretty good idea to kind of hear me out on the points that I'm actually trying to make. Because what I'm actually trying to say is, when I do put out an episode or I put something out, it's got its own structured formula, and I've been taking that as the realm in which I create exercising skill, I'm not tooting my own horn when I say that. I'm saying exercising whatever I consider skillful, my own skills, whatever is my talent, what I consider is my talent, what is my skill, and then honing it, exercising it, in my own way, and then sort of keeping mental tabs on it. That's how I would start that. That's how I would start it, and then eventually lead to things like actually keeping records and keeping kind of like notes and stuff like that. I still think it's the same thing. To me, it's still the same thing. It's stuff I would throw out there, like when I'm having a conversation off recording and I'm gonna write it off as example, or taking notes, keeping tabs, keeping records, keeping a chronicle, journaling, sort of. And then that leads to something that carries on throughout the years. I can go without journaling or really keeping track of stuff. And then the mental muscle memory, as it were, is still there, that I'm still keeping some sort of track of something that I do. In regards to my talent, in regards to my skill, and the thing that I'm trying to chisel and sculpt into something that I can give and provide. So, enough of that for now. That's quite enough of that for now. It's only about as much as it... there's only about so much of it as I can take that has to be called some sort of jargon and lecturing and such. But it is a bonus episode, so there's kind of, no color outside the lines, so to speak. And you can let me know in the comments below what you think. If you notice or pick up on something that I might want to capitalize on, it's not just there for me. It's not just, it's as far as bonus episodes go, that's kind of open. It's free game. It's open game. Open range, free game, that other people watching for that premise that I provided can get something from what I'm saying. They can get something from what you're saying. It's what YouTube and the internet used to be for, until there were so many others making podcasts. It's just impossible now, if you wish to call it that, but very difficult would be more proper. And with that, I can kind of get on to sort of the regular context here, that as a recap, as a segue into the recap, I'm going to have to just go cut into music break. Now, that whole beginning of the episode, I swear, I think that's kind of a devil's advocate type thing, because it leads into me, what I have just said leads into me saying it's wrong. Like, doing anything off recording as a content creator is wrong. But I'm a content creator, so I can only speak from my own perspective. But without getting too far off course and sort of trying to say, what if I was identifying as a moderator? Or what if I was identifying as, anybody else who is actually involved in my projects? Like somebody that is a moderator. So a moderator, quick tip, moderators are people who can control some of the content remotely outside of me doing it. And streamers that do live stream have it. YouTubers have it. I don't. But that's still in the realm of what I'm talking about. That the moderators can do their thing with suggestions, tips, ideas, alterations. As for me personally, and in my personal life, like my actual life, outside of not recording an episode or making an episode or putting this stuff together out for you, it's something I mention a lot, and that's that you can't necessarily put a bunch of ways that you feel about it, or emotional ways that you're feeling about it, about stuff, and just put everything out onto an episode that you want. And that's coming from the same place as what I'm talking about, though. So I play devil's advocate. Now I'm kind of looking myself in the mirror and say, "You talking to me, punk?" Like, it's the same thing. It's just as bad. If you get through the first two layers, there's real actual content in there. There's actual substance that is to say that who am I to tell anybody about it? And what's the right or wrong way to make your stuff? It's somebody, your partner in the project, and your person directly involved would be the one who'd say, you can't just do it like this, and then at the same time you can say however you want, literally however you want, and then I'm going to take it for a grain of salt. I'm still going to take it for a grain of salt. I'm going to consider it and think about it later. And how the actual episode, or whatever it is that you comes out, is the only important thing. And if you can recall all the stuff that people always say, oh, it's the viewers that matter, we do this for the viewers, or this and that, and blah, blah. That is the most important thing. What is the motivation? What is the reason where you're doing stuff that you put onto the internet for everybody to, there's where once I'm considering myself past that second layer there that I just talked about, I just come right out and say it. My motivation right now is just literally just to help other people that are new in this to get good ideas from and get inspired by, I guess. think most of the time what I've recently been saying is how long I've been doing it. But that wasn't the place. That must not have been the place for that, because nobody has said anything about it. Now, may be the good place for it, but I still think it's a little bit not as important, but outweighed from what's really motivating me. I've had no luck so far, and my motivation's being, confirmed, but there you have it, right there. That's not how motivation works. My motivation, your motivation is not determined by whether it's confirmed or not. You're motivated by this or not. But, well, that's enough of that. I'm going to start getting into the closing off here into a quick recap. I hope you have enjoyed the episode so far. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications when new episodes come out. This is Vault of Doom podcast. This is season 8. It's premiering right now, and right after we're going to have I'm scheduled to speak with some other artists. And guys, it's going to be a good one because I have a special place in my heart for this genre, this specific genre, and I do think that it will be a juicy one, so you might want to have yourself a good time commenting on anything I screw up on or something. But I was literally just thinking this idea in my head and wrote it down and made an episode out of it. So making the actual episode, I think, is probably just about the same amount of enjoyment as conceiving the idea to the degree that that's the probably most likely only set ones that I can do like this. This season is most likely the only one that I'll be able to do like this. After this, it's going to make a lot more sense to go with the flow. Going with the flow with a lot of stuff, ride the wave as it were. But it's done. It's all done. The episode's all done. I've got to get on down to recapping what I'm saying here. When you're, first of all, making content to begin with, you're your own boss. So there's that. I guess that's considered secondary motivation, maybe. Other than that, that's a huge one. I know it's secondary, but it's still huge. And the guys, the gals of the planet Earth who create content on the World Wide Web should have pretty good time basically fighting each other for their place in the sun with everything that's going down in this place here. And from me, just recording the episode right now, or from me, being heard by you through your device, it just looks pretty grim. It looks pretty doomed. It looks like a whole lot of doom and gloom. This is for certain. I'm taking a lot of breaks here too in this episode, so I mean it's literally been too long since the last episode, but really just the right amount of time and perfect timing. I don't have like a lot of the self-critical stuff going on that I did in the last episode. I don't know. Well, anyway, I can sprinkle a few side banter comments here and there, but I can't expand on them as much as if I am staying on track. So there's a bit of incentive to too far off course. And if there is a recap somewhere in that thing I call my brain, it should be AI auto-generating at some point, but I think it's just taking a while, so I'm going to just take the initiative here and get started. When I label this title as doing anything, I guess I'm referring to, specifically content-worthy conversations or something like that. That it could be troublesome. It's just something to take heed of, just to beware of having too many conversations off recording that you don't plan on putting up as an episode on your YouTube channel. I don't see how all that positive, motivational kind of stuff that I said earlier is really benefiting. In fact, it's really actually tedious to keep going, and it's actually really troublesome to keep going, and it just winds up being kind of even meddlesome. Where I just need to stay focused, and I can only stay focused way more better without kind of putting myself under the microscope, I guess. Sort of putting myself under a magnifying glass. There's enough of that already, and especially under this context. Anyhow, it is a good idea. I mean, it's a great idea, though, to just say, I'm thinking of this, so I'm writing it down, and then I'll do an episode on it. So, now that the episode is concluded, here's the conclusion. And the conclusion is, without being too complex or all that stuff, it's just like, I don't want you rethinking your existence or anything like that. This isn't meant to be or anything. This is meant to be exactly what the show is called, and I'm emphasizing that where's the doom here? What's the doom about this? The doom is beware of both what I said and trying to hash it out and trying to discuss it. And trying to kind of think it through, think it over. Or, maybe you could borrow terms from this, or you're thinking terms from this, such as, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, or something like that. But it's beware of what you would consider, in this actual instance, kind of spreading yourself too thin. Or casting your pearls before swine. or whatever, and that's where you can kind of like you can kind of lose your mind with this shit. It's really doomy. It's real doom. You can lose your mind with this shit. It just goes back and forth. Which one's worse? Doing anything off recording as a content creator, or trying to hash it out, think it over, think it through, and discuss the issue. Anyway, in closing, and my point, at some point, everybody needs to discuss their issues. You can't have an elephant in the room forever. But anyway, that's been my bonus episode for premiering season 8. And I hope you guys enjoyed watching, listening, reading the captions, whatever it may be. And I appreciate and pretty much require your feedback, but I'll get to that later. Plenty to enjoy in this season. Well, I am out. And I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Remember, life is doomed.